All right, it's that time, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Again, this is Jennifer McInnes, Director of Marketing and Communications at SDI. I'm really excited about tonight's session. This should be a really fun one for everybody and very informative, I think, when it comes to looking into kind of the inner workings of a major gun manufacturer and what it kind of takes to be part of that world. So I'm super excited for tonight. For those of you that just joined us in the last minute or two, and again, I had a whole group of early birds on about 15 minutes early, so this is like the 17th time you've heard me say this. Thank you for your patience on that front. But for those newcomers, we are using this is going to be an audio webinar, and yes, we are recording it. So if you do want to go back and re-listen to anything, I will be posting the recording link probably tomorrow to the SDI YouTube channel and the Facebook page as well. We'll share it over there too, so keep an eye out for both of those outlets if you want to re-listen to this or anything like that. Because there are so many of us on the line, the only people that will have audio are going to be me and Kimberly, the guest. So don't freak out if you think like if you think you should have audio and all of that good stuff. We're going to really just utilize that questions section. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time for a webinar, you're looking for the questions section of your GoToWebinar dashboard. That's where you'll write any questions you have for Kimberly. It's also where you're going to go ahead and reach out to me if you have any questions about anything about the webinar. I will keep a real close eye on everything this whole time, and I will do my best to actually type back to everybody as far as answering questions go. Just be patient with me. There are going to be a lot of questions chiming in and everything, so if you would do me the favor of giving me just a couple minutes to get to everybody's questions, that'd be great. Otherwise, I think it's time for us to get rolling. Oh, I didn't even have my headphones plugged in. Hold on. Okay. So I'm thinking the audio will be just a little bit better now. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rolling. So for those of you who, bear with me just one second. Quick, while I'm on here doing a little bit of housekeeping, can everybody now see the black slide, SDI School of Firearms Technology? If you can, pop on over to that question section and just give me a little yes. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay, so for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I always kind of start out with a little bit of information on SDI itself, and that's just to kind of catch everybody up. We never truly know how people come to find us. So I just try to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. We are a DEAC accredited online firearms school. What that means is all of your course materials are accessed online. We actually ship out to you to your home all of your tools and resources for your labs. You'll get quite a bit of hands-on training as part of your SDI program. We have a couple different programs and courses. They're all listed there for you to take a look at. The two that I'll spend the most time on are those first two, the Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree and the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate program. Those are our biggest ones, most robust programs. The Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree program is 60 credit hours. You go over a lot of stuff, including some of your general education requirements as well. Again, everything's online. You do all your lab work using the tools and resources that we mail to you. That one is approved for use of most TA and VA benefits, as well as federal student aid, Title IV funding. So if you're looking for that type of funding, that's the only program that we offer that is currently approved for use for eligible students. And then the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate is 32 credit hours. It does transfer into the degree program if you complete that one and then are interested in completing your degree as well. And then that one is also approved for use of TA and VA benefits mostly. We have a non-credit ballistics and reloading certificate program, an AR-15, AR-10, and 1911 advanced armor course option. Those bottom three there you can actually take as standalone courses or as the capstone project for your Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree program or your Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate program. So either or. If you just want to take the one course, you can do that. If you want to take it as part of your larger program, you can do that as well. Something that we're going to spend more time than usual on tonight is going to be down at the very bottom there, the field study externship opportunities. We're so excited to be working with Taurus Holdings on this brand new field study opportunity for you guys. It's our first and only paid opportunity. Kimberly is going to talk a little bit about what that's going to entail. If you do want more information on that, go ahead and email. I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of questions in this question section, and I'm not going to be the best person to ask about intricate details on these things. So what I'd like to have you do is go ahead and shoot an email to fieldstudy@sdi.edu for more information on your options for your field studies, what the application process looks like, what each field study would entail, all that good stuff. Anna Moody is our helper in that department, and she kind of knows everything that's going on there and can help you walk through anything that you would need to know about in regards to those field studies. So let me switch gears for a second here, and I'm going to have Kimberly. I see that I saw a couple minutes ago that you took yourself off mute, which is great. Would you mind kind of going through some of these bullet points with us, kind of tell us how you got into the industry and, all of that good stuff. I always kind of like hearing the bios from the actual, guests that we have on here. So if you wouldn't mind, kind of walk me through some of these things, and then I'll keep an eye on the questions as well in case anybody wants a little bit of extra information.
Sure.
Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Kimberly Intagliata, and I manage the customer loyalty program at Taurus, and that includes the customer service department and the repair department. I have a history in working in manufacturing and in plants, and I also worked as an implementation and takeover specialist with some other companies doing buyouts or transfer of knowledge type situations, and also implemented some jobs overseas, India and the Philippines. I've been with Taurus for the last 5 years, and I would have to say that the job came to me pretty much by accident. I was being recruited by a headhunter for another position, and she asked me if I could have lunch with her, and I told her that I was currently on a hunting trip, and so she said, you got to call me as soon as you get back. And so we ended up having lunch, and she said, so you like guns? And I was like, well, of course, I do hunt. And she had told me that that she was looking for a candidate for this position with a gun company, and asked me if I was interested. And I had been living here in South Florida for just about 3.5 years at that time, and I said, well, of course, that's everyone's dream job, right? And so I went in for the interview and accepted the job, was offered the job, and accepted the job that day, and had an absolute wonderful introductory period. And I would have to say that I was in shock the first little bit that I was with Taurus. And I know some people actually understand what it was like 5 years ago, or 10 to 5 years ago at Taurus. And I hope that tonight we'll have a discussion about how far we've come in the last 5 years. But it was a little bit of a shock going into the gun industry and seeing what the manufacturing process is, and understanding importation and ATF and ITAR and certain things like that. So that is kind of how I got into Taurus. But I've always grown up in South Alabama, I've always kind of handled guns, or I wouldn't say I was a gun advocate, because growing up, our guns were, pretty much hand-me-downs. The older guys got the new guns, and we always got, kind of what was left over, or what was, hanging in the truck and in the gun rack. But we had a good collection of guns, and we had a lot of fun shooting and learning, what it was like to kind of live off the land. I grew up on a small farm in Alabama, and started out squirrel and rabbit hunting, and I deer hunt and duck hunt, and I hog hunt, but I've never hog hunted with a gun, so I will have to say that. We've always used dogs and knives. But I began trap and skeet shooting, which I absolutely love. And probably one of the oddest things about me is that my favorite gun is a 12 gauge shotgun, and I have a little bit of a collection of them. My husband doesn't understand why I need so many shotguns, but I have a little bit of a collection. But we actually do not make one um, at Taurus or the Rossi. You know, we have the single shot Rossi, but we have nothing that I can shoot trap and skeet with, which is great because now I'm not biased against, you know, a certain gun and or for a certain gun. Um, and then there you see the interesting fact. I received the news that I would be managing the repair department while sitting in a duck blind.
I love
And
that.
my CEO actually called me the day after Thanksgiving, and I answered the phone because, you know, when your boss calls, you answer no matter where you're at. And
Yeah.
um, he asked me why I was whispering, and I explained to him that I was in a duck blind, and he apologized for interrupting my hunt, and he gave me the news, and it was something that I had been working for. I had been with Taurus for about 8 months at that time, and one of the things that I realized when I started working with Taurus is that there was a division inside the company between different departments, and um, what I wanted to do was unify these departments, and one of them was the call center, and the other was the repair department, and it was kind of hard to say, you know, this is what our customers are saying, if the people that are handling the guns didn't exactly see or hear what the customer's feedback was. So what we had is we had a bridge, and I was that bridge. I started managing both of the departments, and during that time period, that was August of 2012, and during that time period, the CEO and I set up a new inspections process. So I actually had three departments going at one time, and it was quite busy, but I have learned a lot, and I hope that um, a lot of you will see, you know, again, what the improvements have been, and we'll go over some of those tonight and talk about the way the repair department and things are changing at Taurus, and how things are going great. Maybe we can get some feedback on, you know, some ideas or what could be better.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to advance this slide because I love these pictures, these team pictures. I definitely want to get into what you were mentioning before about the difference between Taurus 5 years ago and now. But before we do that, could you talk a little bit about your team, how this setup is, you know, how everything's set up and all that good stuff?
Sure, sure. In the picture there, the two gentlemen to my left are actually the leads for the department. Roberto Padron is the supervisor, and Felix Torres is the team lead. And the team lead also completes all the accuracy tests. So anytime a customer sends a gun in for accuracy, we send back two target sheets so they can see exactly where the point of aim and point of impact was. And then the gentlemen in the forefront are the gunsmiths per sale. And it's our holiday season. We just took these pictures yesterday. So, and then we have two inspectors that inspect our post-repair guns, and they test fire them. So the actual gunsmiths that are working on the bench do not inspect and test fire their own firearms. We kind of get another set of eyes on them, and that was one of our quality inspections or quality processes that we put in place a couple years ago. And we've had several things that came in and or that we adjusted to after the feedback of um, the customers and gunsmiths, and a lot of dealers that were kind of giving us some feedback. And one of them was guns that came in with no problem found. And one of the things that we found was that we had in the past, anytime a customer's gun came in and we did not find a problem with it, we simply sent it back to them and told them we couldn't find a problem with it. So um, we have the inspectors now that actually log those over to our resolution specialist, and our resolution specialist will call the customers and try to get more information and try to reproduce the problem. And if that means that we're driving over to, one of the dealers or the gun shops or to Walmart and buying whatever ammo that particular customer was using, we do that now. Instead of sending a gun back and saying we couldn't find a problem with your gun, we actually try to make the problem happen. Even if it's, something as slight as, limp wristing, we'll send a video to the customer or, whatever it takes to make sure that really the gun just doesn't come back, that everything is okay and the customer accepts the gun back for whatever purposes they purchased the gun for in the first place. So we do have the repair department divided up by sales. We have Brazil pistols and U.S. pistols separated, and we're actually working now to fuse those two sales. We have U.S. revolvers and Brazil revolvers. The U.S. revolvers, of course, are the Heritage single-action revolvers, and the Brazil revolvers, we're going to be merging those two sales together as well. And then we have our long guns, which are include the Taurus older model guns, the 62, 63, 72, 17s, and also the Thunderbolts, which is absolutely probably my favorite long gun that we have, and then all the Rossi long guns, which are the Rio Grande, the R92, and even the Ranch Hand, which is classified as a pistol. It still goes through the long gun repairs because it uses the same parts as the R92.
I've got a couple of follow-up questions here. Tim wants to know if you still make the 357 8-shot, the one made off the 44 frame.
We do not. We do not. We a little tidbit about Taurus guns for the calibers. If it starts with a 6, the model starts with a 6, that means it's a 357, and the 8-shot would be the 608. And the 608 is not in the marketing plan for the next year.
Okay, and there's another one I'm sifting through. Somebody asked about, there we go, are there any of Taurus firearms made in the USA? And since you were talking about that a little bit here, I wanted to see if you could expand on that just a little bit, kind of give a little roll call of what's made here, what's made in Brazil, all that good stuff.
Sure. We have, when I first started, again, 5 years ago, we had 600 different models and around probably 2,000 or 3,000 different SKUs for those models, depending on colors or grips or whatever it was. And we've culled those down to our main models that we have based, strictly on popular demand. But the guns that are made here in the U.S. Have always been, of course, our pop-up 22, 25. So any of our what we call micro or subcompact pistols, the 738 TCP, the 732, the PT22, PT25, those are all made in the U.S. Our Heritage line, which we purchased Heritage in 2012, the merger completed in 2013, and they were actually the company that was in Opelika, which we're in Hialeah, and Opelika is a neighboring, neighborhood. So Heritage Manufacturing used to do all of our bluing for us, so we were already in a good partnership with Heritage then. And we purchased them and moved the manufacturing into the Taurus plant here in Hialeah. We increased the production dramatically because they had, such a small factory and small workforce. And but all of those guns are made in the U.S. Now the large bore Heritage guns are completed and made in the U.S., but a lot of the major components are actually made by Pieta in Italy. And then for the Rossi line, all of the Rossi line are made in Brazil. So as far as the ones that are made in the U.S., that is the smaller limit there. Now, little known facts for the public is that a lot of the models that the U.S. previously made will not be made any longer after the next couple of years, and mainly because we have a brand new engineering team. Previously, our engineers were based out of Brazil, and we have a new U.S.-based, U.S. hired. We actually hired guys from several different gun factories or gun manufacturers that are making our new products. They make up our new products team and our engineering team, and they understand the U.S. base and the consumers. And one of the things that we have been working on is making sure that a lot of our new products are actually made here in the U.S. And if any of y'all are going to be at SHOT Show, make sure that you stop by the booth and say hello. But at SHOT Show, we will be launching one of our new products, and it will be made here in the U.S. at our factory in Hialeah. So for the next few years, we're going to have some new products coming out each year, and each year they will be U.S.-made Taurus pistols.
Very cool. There's been a lot of chatter here back and forth on the question section about people who own Taurus pistols. Jeremy has 2 Taurus pistols, a 9mm and a 45. He would like to know, as a student, can we get a discount on Taurus? He'd really love a revolver. Do you know anything about that information or anything that's set up in that type of deal?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. One of the things that we have extended to SDI graduates and students is our Pro Shooter program, and it's usually reserved for people that work in the industry, and of course with our partnership with SDI, it's now extended to all students. So you'll have the option to purchase 1 gun a year off of the Pro Shooter form, and that is 40% off the MSRP. So you go to the website, you find the gun that you're wanting. You fill out the Pro Shooter form and send it in. And I always tell people, based on the inventory that we have, you may want to select 1 or 2 models and tell us what your priority is on which one you would like, and then whichever one's available, we'll call you and let you have that option, or wait for the second one. But you do have that option to purchase a Pro Shooter gun once a year. And we have the forms available, so I can give you an email address that any of you can reach out to and shoot us over an email, and we'll send you back the form, and you send it in, and then we follow up and find out what FFL you want it sent to, and if you have your own FFLs, however you want to work it.
Okay, cool. And Mark wants to know if that's a wholesale or retail. You said MSRP, right? So retail?
Right, it's the MSRP listed on the website, so it would be 40% off the MSRP that we have listed on our website, which is a retail price. Perfect.
A couple people are going to be at SHOT Show. You wouldn't happen to know the booth number that you're going to be in, would you? It's going to be in all of the publications and everything, all the flyers that you'll get at SHOT Show. But if you happened to know it,
I believe it's 14601. We haven't moved in the 5 years that I've been here, so okay. Unless they change the booth numbers up on us, but
sure.
It's right next to the NRA and right beside Vista, so we're right smack dab in the middle of the upper floor.
Okay, cool. Let me scroll through a couple of these last ones that just came in here. James had a question on the Raging Judge. Is that still being produced? And whatever came of the original one? Okay. Yeah, talk about that a little bit. James had a couple questions on that.
Mm-hmm. Our Raging series is still one of our popular ones. We have a couple of different models that we like to call, I guess, collector guns, because we don't mass produce them as much as say the 45-410. The 45-410, especially the snub judge, all of those public defenders, those are pretty popular. And one of the little known facts there, the judge is actually a very popular urban gun, and the reason why is because it does not penetrate apartment walls if they use a 410, but it will still make someone run. So we do sell a lot of those for metro areas, which doesn't seem like it would be that type of gun, because most people I know tell me it's a great little snake gun. But um, we have the Raging series. The ones that come out in a small quantity are going to be the 513s and the 454s. The Casull is an expensive round, and so and the gun is, if you get the 8 3/8 513, that's a 9-pound gun, and there's not a lot of people that will purchase that, but they purchase it to put it in the safe. I absolutely have one. I love to shoot it. I think it is probably one of the most accurate guns of that size that I've ever shot in single action. And the demand does make us cull back a little bit. So they are those that are kind of hard to find. But most of the Raging series, the 444s are they're I guess kind of mediocre on the market as far as availability, but the 45 410 is the highest available. We just celebrated the judge's 10-year anniversary last year, and we came out with the engraved anniversary edition with the wood grips. Super sexy gun, absolutely beautiful, and still one of the most popular guns that we sell. But the larger the caliber and the more the round cost, as an example, the 41 was just kind of moved completely off the market because of the lack of sales, and I think that's kind of based on the cost of ammo. But the larger the caliber, the lower the quantity is produced, strictly based on market demand.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, we've got a couple of people piping in on the judge here. Ian says the Raging Judge is a beast. We have one at work that we run out all the time. That gun probably has about 3,500 rounds through it, he says. So we had a couple people. Levi wants to know what the email is for that Pro Shooter program again.
Sure. You can send it to anyone on my team. That email address is CS Help Desk. That's CS like customer service, help desk. And this one's kind of long. It's at TaurusHoldingsInc.com.
INC at the end of that. Okay, cool. Good. Great. Looks like a lot of people are interested in the business side of things as well, field studies and that type of thing. Before we get into that, I'll do this one later too. Before we get into that, I do want to advance a slide here. We've already kind of gone over most of this, but there are a couple extra people in here. Did you want to talk about them at all?
Yeah. One of the things that we have in our repair department is we have complete control over the repair guns, and it was something that we kind of lacked when I first started there, because shipping was completely in charge of receiving the guns and shipping the guns and inventory and things like that. So we were kind of held accountable for something that someone else did. So we moved all that into the repair department. So some of the extra people that you see here, we have our parts supervisor who has to maintain our parts inventory and keep our parts orders and our POs for Brazil on file. We have our cleaning team, and our shipping team, and then we also have the three guys that receive the guns. So I just want to kind of outline what our repair process is and how it works at Taurus. And we receive 3 shipments a day, and it depends strictly on the carrier. We get guns in U.S. mail in a little padded envelope sometimes, so that's a little scary. But we get 3 shipments a day, and then those guns are logged in into our repair system within 24 hours, which is our ATF compliance. They're logged into the repair system, and a triage form is completed to let the gunsmith know what the customer's complaint on the letter is, and then they're staged to a queue. the team lead comes in every morning and halfway through the day, and he takes these guns and he scans them to a gunsmith, and that means that once it's scanned to that gunsmith, it is repair in progress. So the gunsmith works that gun and then scans it over to the inspector. The inspector takes it into the inspection room. He goes over it, reviews the finished fit and function of the gun. If everything looks okay, he then takes it into the range. We have 2 snare traps and 2 lanes of a long range. We have a 70-yard long range, and we have 2 lanes on that. And they'll take it in and they'll shoot it. Now, for every gun that comes into repair, you have to have, in order for it to pass, you have to have 2 full uninterrupted magazines or 2 full uninterrupted cylinders. Now, if the customer requests that or states that the issue occurs when they get to so many shots, we'll actually go up to that many shots. We have a full rack of different brands of ammo, and we try to get the brand that the customer uses so that we can replicate the shooting actions in the range as well. If the customer is complaining of certain functions, failure to eject, failure to extract, or anything that could be associated with the handling of the firearm or the basic combat grip, we shoot only in the long range. It's only for small issues or just a normal, function test, like we had to change the front sight on a gun, and we'll then use the snare traps if there's no other complaints about the function of the gun. But for the most part, we do most of our shooting in the long range. Once it passes that, well, let's say if it fails, if there's any kind of failure, it goes back to the gunsmith's desk and the process starts all over. The gunsmith works the gun, scans it back to the inspector, and the process starts all over. So sometimes you may get a gun back from our repair department, and you'll see that it has the 10 shots through it, which was 2 full cylinders of 5, and everything worked fine. But you may see a gun that comes in and it has 30 shots. That means that there was something in there, either that the customer requested additional rounds, or there was something that failed and it had to go back and start over. But once that's done, we go through a cleaning process. We did last year change our cleaning solution to a cleaning solution from a couple of military guys that created it, and we got rid of a few other components that used to be the Taurus norm, which was a Cosmoline and the WD-40 and things like that. And we use now a good cleaning solution. It's a green solution, and we clean the guns in the Gray Mills machine. Then we pack them and we ship them. The whole process right now takes about 8 days from the time that it's received to the time that it ships out. It takes 8 business days. Our gunsmiths work 4/10, so that's a total of 2 weeks from the time that it comes in to the time that it leaves the building. Of course, we do tell our customers, and our standard repair letter states 8 weeks, or I'm sorry, 6 weeks, and that is depending, on parts availability. But that's our total outline of how things work and the timeline.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Now, we've had a couple guys, quite a few actually, have some questions on the Taurus SDI partnership that's going on right now, and also, I guess even if you pare it down to the individual level, some people are wanting to know, like, how could they become a Taurus gunsmith if they wanted to? So, for example, Kevin says, can an individual qualify to be an authorized Taurus dealer and or gunsmith? And Jeremy wants to know, on the business side of things, when they do finish their degree and start out, is it possible to become a certified gunsmith for Taurus from their locations, whether that's at a home or a business setting? Talk me through some of that. I think a lot of guys are really itching to know, how do they get into the business? How do they get involved with Taurus if that's a goal of theirs, etc.?
Okay. I'll try to answer the question. So if I don't answer the question, just follow up with me and let me know. But as far as a dealership partnership, we do sell to a limited number of distributors and buying groups. So as a dealer, my suggestion would always be to, if you're trying to avoid that distributor markup, I would suggest entering into one of the buying groups. There's several different buy groups out there for wholesale guns, and I think we sell right now to about 6 different buy groups. But as far as a dealer and a storefront, that is probably, oh, I'm sorry, that is probably the best situation that I can offer there. We are limited, or I guess unallowed, to sell directly to dealers themselves. But now, as far as a Taurus certified gunsmith, that's not something that we're working on, or that we're offering. And the reason why is we simply don't have an armorer's program like some other gun manufacturers. And there's a couple of reasons why gun manufacturers put armor programs out there. We don't have the availability for things like that, mainly because of the amount of guns that were made in Brazil, and the tracking of ECs or engineering changes by the companies or by the programs that worked on a lot of the older model guns. The guns have also changed significantly through the years, and some gunsmiths that I talked to that worked on some of the older guns, say back in the 80s, the only pistols that we had were the 92s and 99s. And then, moving forward, you end up with a completely different type of gun. At one point, there were 72 different moving parts in the pistols, and now that's been reduced by a third. And the engineering program is looking to continue changing and making things different and better and improving them. So it's kind of hard to go back and give you the history of the old guns. But what we're looking at doing now with our partnership with SDI is we actually have our gunsmiths going through the SDI programs. And what we're doing is we're making footnotes. And these footnotes will be things that we see that in the SDI training, it refers to a certain type of gun, and there's something different about the Taurus model. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a footnote and state this is the difference for this model for Taurus. So it will help when you go through the program to look at things like that and see that there are some things that are different for Taurus, and we're going to give you that information so that you have it readily available when you complete the program. But as far as making a all-inclusive armor program just based around Taurus products, the lack of information that we have on historical guns is what kind of binds us. We would pretty much have to go back through and see if we could find one of each of the old models and break it down to create these blowouts and these fixes and parts list and things like that. So some of the older guns are kind of difficult, but some of the newer guns and what our current I would say last 2 years popular models and moving forward, all of those will be readily available with notes and everything already included in the SDI material. And I'm sure that any updates that are going to be made to the material will be noted to everyone that that is a graduate or a student at SDI.
Perfect. Now, a ton of people are asking about the field study. Do you want to kind of dive into that? I think people are looking for almost like a day in the life. You know what I mean? What's it gonna entail to take part in the field study at Taurus. What
Okay.
can they expect? What are the types of things that they'll be doing? If you can kind of can kind of go over some of that, I think that'll help out a lot of people on the line here.
Sure, sure. Um, so let me tell you first how the idea of the field study came about. If you look at our gunsmiths are actually gun techs, meaning that they had on-job training and were promoted up through the company from assembly or from production, and they were moved into an area of QC where they were in charge of QC in the production and the assembly of the firearms, and then they were then moved into an area where the QC repair list was made and or the rejections was made, and then they were eventually promoted into the repair department where we brought them in and trained them on fixes and tools and um, I guess basic function, and that was one of the things that the production team did not have was um, the ability to actually shoot what they were making. So we kind of opened up a few doors and made some changes with a lot of the guys that we were bringing in and promoting in the repair department. And the partnership with SDI came up because last year it was my goal to have all of my gunsmiths actually go through gunsmith training. There's a lot of things that you get from on-the-job training and a lot of knowledge that is in that room that we may not ever be able to pin all of it down based on the different guns. I have one gunsmith, Errol, who has been with the company for 29 years. So there's a lot of knowledge that's in there that we need to maintain and kind of spread between the sales, which is why we're dissolving the sales. But I ended up speaking with someone at SDI and discussing the training and how I could get my guys to go through the training. And the partnership kind of developed from there, and we got into discussing the field study program and the transfer of knowledge, what we could give to someone that comes into the field study, and working with someone who's been working on these guns for 29 years, and but not only that, having someone coming in fresh out of training with a fresh set of eyes and looking at some of the things that we deal with. I think that it's a mutual transfer of knowledge. I don't think that someone's going to come in and be a complete student to Taurus. I think that we're all going to learn from each other, and that's probably um, the best thing that my guys in going through this program and the guys coming in from the field study can gain from this is that um, there is going to be that mutual understanding there of there's new knowledge and there's I guess learned events that turned into knowledge. And um, the field study program will basically um, be running during our busy seasons. Our busy seasons are the same as pretty much hunting seasons. We have about 6 months on, 6 months off, and it starts in November and ends around April, and it captures all the busy time, the Black Friday sales, the Christmas sales, and tax season buys. And once those are over, the summer's kind of slow, and we don't have a lot of work there during that time period. And that's usually when we do all of our training and up training and special projects and clearing out some of the warehouse and things like that. So what I want to do is make sure that when someone comes in for the field study program, that we have some good examples of what comes into Taurus and what the issues are. Um, the the program will be a paid program, and basically it's just a choice of Taurus. It's we don't necessarily have unpaid interns, and you open up a lot of kind of positive relationships when you're getting paid for your good work, and it's kind of hard to have to go to a new city. That was my first thought, was how would anyone be able to come all the way down here and do this, for free. So our goal was to kind of bring people in, and 2 to 4 weeks at a time, or if we have a great relationship and someone can stay longer, we're good with that too. And um, we have a a couple of different ideas of how we want to do things, and one of the processes is to start in our inspections department. Our inspections department is where all the guns that come in from Brazil, this started in 2012, all guns that came in from Brazil, the revolvers that started with, went through a 100% inspection, a 5-point inspection in which we tested or we checked things such as alignment and timing, some of the things that back then we considered easy fixes and frequent flyers, things that we really just didn't see coming back for. And so we started with inspection program and with revolvers, and moved it into pistols and now long guns. But we want to show the field study candidates exactly what the inspection process looks like, and then kind of move into the repair department. Now, some of the things that happens in the repair department is you may be working on a gun that was produced 4 months ago, or you may be working on a gun that was produced 40 years ago. So there's a big difference in the time period, but for the most part, there's not a lot of changes in our revolvers, and um, the inside of the 85 now and then, and the 66 and things like that, there's not a lot of changes. So those are really the easy ones. It's when we get into the Brazil pistols and break those open that you see that there's some changes, and sometimes these changes actually result in almost a rebuild on these guns because of engineering changes that were done to one part that affects another. So um, a lot of good stuff to learn, especially about the dates, and how you can look at the serial number and tell what the born on date is, and if whether or not this gun has requires a rebuild, or what happens with the change outs of different parts, and then there's also some good tidbits on our ATF compliance on manufacturing, and how long we keep the guns in, and what the process is, and our ATF audit, and things like that. That is a little bit different than going through an ATF audit with a dealer. Um, but for the most part, we have kind of a check sheet that we'd like to introduce certain aspects of manufacturing, but also kind of go through the repair process and let them see exactly what it's like bringing it in, and the electronic bound book program that we use and how we log it out, and just follow the guns through the program, and then kind of sit down once you understand the program, sit down and start working the complete innards of the guns, and understanding what the difference inside a Taurus gun is compared to some of the other polymer pistols, or some of the other steel frame pistols, or the lever action guns. There's not a lot that changes, but there are a few changes that happen, and hopefully it's something that everyone has a learning event for.
It sounds super, super cool. We've got about a dozen of these nationwide. Some of them are retail, some of them are, gunsmithing related, but there are a ton of people on tonight, and then also people that I've heard from in the months prior, since we've announced this partnership, that are just really excited about this idea of coming into that facility and working for as large of a manufacturer as Taurus is, and kind of getting their hands dirty, in that realm. So I think it's something that a lot of people are excited about. I had one person ask how much. This is our only paid internship. I believe it's $15 an hour. Is that right?
It is.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I gave him the correct information there. And I have a couple questions that are not follow-ups on the field study themselves. I think I've got most of those tackled on the side here. But uh, Mark wants to know where the manufacturers, excuse me, where the magazines are manufactured. For example, like the 740 Slim magazines. Do you know any of that information?
I do. I actually ordered them. So,
Oh, there you
um,
go.
so let me first tell you how things have changed a little. So previously, all of our magazines came directly from Brazil, and I know, if you are one of our older gunsmiths, or worked in a dealer's office and had to return a gun to Taurus, one of the biggest issues that we have had with our repair department turnaround time is that waiting for parts kind of lengthens that time period. And magazines were almost as hard to get a hold of. No, I would say they were as hard to get a hold of as parts for the guns, simply because when they shut that line down, they weren't making the parts and they weren't making the magazines. So we had to wait until the line came back around again to get those type things. So that's one of the issues in dealing with such a large manufacturing plant in Brazil is, we're not their only customer. The U.S. is not their only customer. So we had to make some changes, especially when it came to our magazines, because there's several parts on a gun that are consumable items, and the magazines are one of them. You can only adjust the lips on the magazine so many times. You can the life of the recoil spring is still what it is, and there's going to be those consumable items that we need to be able to have complete availability on. So what we have done is we have actually sourced here in the U.S. And abroad magazine manufacturers. So right now, a lot of our magazines um, are made from Metgar. We have two other companies. We have an Italian company. We have two other companies here in the U.S. And then we still receive our magazines from Brazil. Um, the there's pros and cons to that. One is availability as a pro, and the other is sometimes your vendors are not always producing what you considered a good product. And so we did have a little bit of an issue when we first launched one of our magazines, and so um, we kind of culled back on certain manufacturers. So I can't tell you exactly which ones we are going with right now, but I can tell you that we're using a plethora of different vendors. And the good news is that we have also began reaching out to vendors for our quick and consumable parts, such as screws and springs and recoil springs and things like that, so that we have U.S. vendors available for those types of parts too.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And I know we're running out of time. This hour has flown by, hasn't it? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Douglas wants to know, this is an interesting question. I know that we've talked a little bit about some of the challenges with the older Brazilian guns. He wants to know why we might not be able to get a veteran Brazilian gunsmith to come out and, basically give some knowledge to the U.S. group on the older models and how to take care of them, and gunsmithing topics on the older models and that type of thing. Is that something that you guys have looked into, or have met some challenges with, or anything like that?
Well, it's definitely a challenge, and the reason why it's a challenge is because um, the older Brazilian gunsmiths do not exist.
That would be a challenge.
As the manufacturer in Brazil, they strictly export. Brazil is only allowed a 380 caliber as a citizen gun, and a lot of their guns were sourced out as far as the ones local to the plant there in Brazil. They were sourced out mainly to police and military, which had their own armorers. And so for the most part, Brazil Fortress Taurus in Brazil actually provided parts to the armorers in the military and the police, but they did not have gunsmiths. So what they had was they had an engineering team that would look at issues and would try to take what we triage and what we document and turn it into something that they could turn into a quality improvement method. But as far as the older guns, you know, things that we have received really came from the guys here, and you know, grabbing one of the guns and intentionally breaking it to see what happens when we do this. And so there's not that that senior team in Brazil. And you know, one of the things about Fortress Taurus is they actually produced their first gun in 1941, their first revolver in 1941, and that's how long back these revolvers go. But you know, the first time that guns were imported here in the U.S. was in 1968. So you have these guns that were produced in 41 up to 68, and then they tried their first U.S. venture in 68, and it was through several different distributors. It was through Garcia and InterArms and IDI and places like that, which you still see those older guns in the marketplace. And then in 1982 was actually when our Taurus, what you see now in Hialeah, that's when we were created. And it was the second venture of Fortress Taurus, because in 1968 they only lasted, that importation only lasted 3.5 years because no one in the U.S. knew who Taurus was. And in 1982, when they started up again, it was kind of the same thing. It was hard to sell our guns to distributors because of the lack of shooting press for the Taurus guns. And so that's why we're here now. In 1984, they announced the lifetime warranty, and that's the first time that, you know, the U.S. market kind of sat up and took notice of Taurus, was because we created that lifetime warranty. And really it was intended to be a marketing promotion to try and get Taurus out there, and to get the shooting press to write about Taurus, and kind of you know, someone to take notice of, you know, that we're here. And that was SHOT Show in 1984 when that was announced. And I want to say that our booth was probably one of the smallest manufacturing booths that there was at the time. So we were, you know, at that time it was a very little known commodity. And that year they actually gave away a Taurus car. It was a Ford Taurus. So I mean, it was yeah, it was our little, you know, claim to fame there. But no one really kind of paid attention until that moment. And you know, the warranty is why we have the repair department, and why we have the customer service call center and things like that. But it wasn't until then that we had a warranty. And a little, you know, some things that people don't understand is that Fortress Taurus in Brazil does not have a warranty. That 1984 warranty is a product of Timmy, of Taurus International Manufacturing here in Miami. And all the guns that were imported by other distributors before that are not covered under that Timmy warranty. But when they come in, you know, and the customer has an IDI, and we look at it and we think, you know, this gun was probably, you know, manufactured around 1952. We actually give our customers the option of buying a gun, and if they send in a 66, we'll sell them a 357, something similar to it, and we only charge them $200. And the reason why is because, you know, we simply want to get one of these older guns off the market, and give them something that does have a lifetime warranty. So, you know, we try to do right by the guns that we can't fix, that we, you know, it's not that we don't have the knowledge to fix it, because like I said, there's not a lot of changes from that model to now, but it's just good customer service, and it's just the right thing to do for these older guns. And some of the people say, you know what, I just want my gun back because, it was my grandfather's, has sentimental value or whatever reason. And, we do whatever the customer requests and, whatever's best for the customer. The customer's always right, right?
That's exactly right. Okay, cool. Well, let me, gosh, this has been a ton of information here. Um, Let me finish with one last question here. And it's kind of one of those existential things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We're trying to figure out what would you tell somebody who wanted to work for a company like Taurus? What should they do? How should they prepare for that type of thing? What would you recommend for them?
Well, one of the things that I guess would be my first thought, and just interviewing gunsmiths, or I have 84 people that report to me at Taurus, and for those that come to me and say, what do I need to do to move up, or what do I need to do to move here, or things that they want to move internally, or I have a gunsmith that came to me and said, what do I need to do to work at Taurus? And one of my favorite things is to tell them, you really have to sell yourself. And when you sell yourself, there's when people come into me and I'm hiring for the call center, or I'm hiring for our service center, as long as you look professional, I'm not really worried about looks and things like that. What I look at is care and emotion. And when I say emotion, I don't mean you're going to sit there and cry in front of me. What I mean is that you're showing passion about what it is that you do. And when someone comes in for an interview or has a conversation and they show interest in the process that we have, and they show interest in the quality improvement processes that we have, and what we have made, and things that we have done here. But not only that, and when I say sell yourself, gunsmiths have this ability that in diagnosing problems and understanding this mechanical thing that can't tell you, what's wrong with it. You have to understand the complete function of the gun and work backwards to understand how it failed and why it failed. And there's some things that you look at when you're building your resume, and you put down only where you worked, and maybe 2 lines there, but that doesn't tell us what you did while you were there. So a lot of gunsmiths that have sent a resume, they don't stand out to me because all it has is 1 line that says, I work here as this. But tell me what made you want to work there. Tell me, what part of this gun industry, or what part of the fact that you wanted to be a gunsmith, or what about gunsmithing made you passionate about your job or about your career. And not only that, but think about what your goals and ambitions are. We have a big program at work where right now I have 2 employees that you see in the picture there that are enrolled in SDI, and we're doing reimbursements for them for their gunsmithing program. We have it now set up where with a new repair process that we're only going to hire trained gunsmiths. We're only going to hire certified gunsmiths. And that's not something that we've had before. So it had to make them, sit up and say, okay, I got to do better. They're just not going to promote me because, I'm sitting here. And it's the passion about the job that they have that makes me say, you're promotable. I don't have that ability to see someone when they're coming in the door to know that, this person's promotable because they show passion. You've got to show that when you walk in. And when you walk into our doors, a lot of the people that, like I said, that are there, they've been there for a very long time. But not only that, the people that are in the repair department, when you walk in and you see them looking at the guns, and you see, they're looking over them in a different manner. Or, we have range day where we rent out a range down here in South Florida, and we'll go down and we all take the guns and go shoot. And we may take Taurus guns, we may take our own guns that are not Taurus guns. But the thing is that you see the passion of the gun industry, and how they feel about 2A and things like that. And that's really what gets us, is that it's not just that you're going to come in and do a great job at gunsmithing, but you're going to be an ambassador for our company and for our industry. And the one thing that you've got to get across when you come in is, you kind of get one chance to show someone that this is my passion, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to do for you, and this is what I have done. Here's examples of my work, and this is what drives me, and this is what will make me be a great employee for you.
I love that. I especially love the part where you're talking about an employee as more of an ambassador, you know what I mean, for the organization. I think that holds true in any organization, any business, you know what I mean? I think that's the type of employee that people look for literally anywhere.
Well, it's absolutely, I can't say it, enough. And if you come to me at SHOT Show, or I go to Great American Outdoors, and I go to the NRA, so I'll be in Harrisburg and I'll be in Atlanta. And if you come to me, you're going to see that I'm going to have a gunsmith with me, and I'm going to have someone from the customer service department with me. And that's kind of the reward, because you have these people, and some people aren't comfortable in customer facing situations, but the ones that go with me, that's exactly what they are. They're the ambassador for our company, and these are people that feel proud to wear our Taurus gear. And you can see it in the pictures there. We all wear our gear, and it's not a uniform. It's something that we give you, and that's part of who we are. I walk in Home Depot all the time. Don't tell them I've got my concealed carry, but I walk in Home Depot all the time with my Taurus gear on, and I have people stop me and say, is that Taurus the gun company? And it's one of my proudest moments. Yep, that is. That's exactly who I work for, and that's what I want people to be proud of. I don't want someone to say, oh yeah, I work for Taurus, and and be worried about, am I going to get berated by a gun snob, or
Sure.
are people going to feel different about it? But that's one of the things that we look at is not necessarily how you look on paper, but how you sell yourself and how you sell your passion for the industry.
Absolutely. Love that. Great. Well, I know we've got a couple minutes over here, so I don't want to keep too many people too long. I did want to say, though, we are so excited about this partnership and the field study and all the good stuff that's going to come from it. I really do appreciate your time with us tonight. I think, in my opinion, I'm the one that moderates all of these webinars. This has seriously been a great one. I love all of the detailed information that you were able to give us tonight, kind of the insider view of Taurus. So I really do appreciate your time. Tons of great comments. I'll have to send them to you so you can see all the people just glowing about Taurus and about the webinar tonight and all of that good stuff. So thank you for being with us here tonight. Rather, I really do appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It has been so exciting, and working with SDI and getting everything set up. I really hope that we can get some people in for the field study program, after the holidays, and I think.
Oh yeah, that's a good note too. Just for those of you who have been on the line and have asked about that field study, they are the first field studies that they'll be taking happen right after the first of the year, I do believe. Is that right, Kimberly?
Yes, we are. We will be
sorry.
ready in early January. We will be in full-blown busy season, so wear comfy shoes.
Yeah, expect some chaos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few applications already for that field study, so if you are at all interested in that, and you're a current student or recent graduate of the AGS or ASFT program at SDI, feel free to reach out to fieldstudy@sdi.edu. Anna Moody will help you walk through that. Or you can go to the sdi.edu homepage, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a green Current Students button. On that page, there's a link to the field study information where you can fill out your application, submit your required documentation, and that type of thing. So this has been a really popular one for us. If you'd like to submit your application, I would go ahead and do that as soon as possible, and make sure you're, answering questions to the best of your ability and all that good stuff. If you have any questions, again, field study at sdi.edu is the best place for that, for the Taurus field study or any other field studies. And then if you have any questions on upcoming webinars or anything that I can help you with, my personal email address is Jennifer, Jennifer @sdi.edu. So we're so excited to hear how the first couple field studies go with Taurus. And I did want to take a quick minute to just thank everybody who has been on the line tonight. I mean, we're talking December 20th here, guys, so I really thank you for taking time out of your busy holiday season to be on with us tonight live. Again, we have recorded this, and I'll be posting the link tomorrow, both on the SDI YouTube channel, and then I'll also go ahead and share that on the Facebook page as always. So thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and wonderful holidays the whole season. So everybody have a wonderful night. And Kimberly, you have a wonderful night too, and thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Jennifer. My pleasure. It's been wonderful, and I can't wait to see what happens with everyone that joined us tonight. I'm excited to see the comments and get the emails.
Me too, me too. I will send them out soon. So thanks, everyone. We really appreciate it. Be safe and have a great night.
Thank you.